There's no denying the fact that all video games wouldn't be possible without the OGs, but even the OGs wouldn't be possible without games like Pong. Yet when we think of retro games, nobody is thinking about Pong except maybe old Charles over there. No, instead, the games our heads get flooded with are games like Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong Country, Super Mario Bros. And Mario World, or even Excite Bike, to name a few. Now, some of those older games were the type of game you couldn't save. You played it once, and when you lost all your lives or restarted the console, you'd have to play the game from the start. The simplicity of those games made it easy to play repeatedly without getting bored, even if you sucked at it. And the later games that had saves were more complex than its predecessor, but still simple enough that you could get invested in them easily. People spent hours upon hours, days upon days in these games, even though it was a time before games that have hundreds of hours of gameplay existed. No, instead this was just how amazing the replay value was for most of the retro library. People discovered secrets in them before the internet was on everyone's phones, played them with family and friends, and just had a good time. I myself are one of the people that sucked at those games as a kid. Though my happiest memories are playing them with my family and finishing Contra in one sitting with my uncle. This brings me to my first point about why retro games are held so high. The accessibility. There are hardly any games in a modern day that's as accessible as retro games were to everyone back in the day. There's a reason many people's memories of retro games are playing it with their family. My uncles were amazing at the retro games we played compared to me. And yet, they wouldn't be able to play the games I play today. Video games back then were simple enough for everyone to get used to playing and enjoy them. They may not have all been good at it, but they understood how to play enough to enjoy it time and time again without feeling overwhelmed or exhausted. That brings me to my second point. It ages well. Every single one of the many fun retro games ages like fine wine. Or if you don't like wine, then it ages like Legolas. There are some games on the Game Boy Advance, for example, that look amazing and could stand toe-to-toe with pixel games released today. An example of that is The Legend of Zelda: The Minish Cap. There are other games that may not look as good anymore but play so well you think it released today. An example of that is Super Mario World. I never played Super Mario World until this year, and I was shocked at how good it felt to play. It has its fair share of challenge too, making it a memorable game. I always heard a lot of people talk about how it's their favorite Mario game, and I never understood why until now. My only regret is that I never got to experience these games on the consoles they were made for. I've either emulated most of them on my phone or played them on those cheap TV consoles as a kid. That brings me to my third point. The nostalgia. Everyone wants and seeks nostalgia through something. Nostalgia is a means for them to go back and experience something that once made them happy. But why is it that some of us who haven't played all of those old games as kids necessarily still feel nostalgic when we play it today? Well, it could be because of its age or its music. But besides that, it's because of its comfort. Most retro games, whether you play them as a kid or not, take you back to a simpler time. A time when a video game didn't need hundreds of hours and mechanics to be fun for the most part. Or in the case of retro RPGs like Final Fantasy and Chrono Trigger, it takes you back to a time when video games managed to tell amazing stories in the simplest of ways. And makes you feel like you are going on a journey regardless of how it looks. Everything about retro games is comfort. Some may have challenges. Some of them you may not be able to save, but you always get into them without frustration. You can call family and friends to join in and play and have fun without any of them getting bored or being uninterested. Because a lot of them either have memories with it too or want to try it. It's something so special. It brings people together, or at the very least, it just makes you happy. No strings attached. I recently have been building a library of retro games on my phone. Games from the Game Boy, SNES, and so on. I have fond memories of my cheap plastic TV consoles, playing games like Super Mario Bros., Adventure Island, Joust, Contra, and so on with my family. And even most recently playing those games with my uncle earlier this year. It's a memory that will always have a place in my heart, just as retro games will. I know a lot of you who've watched this video probably feel the same as me. I'd love to hear your thoughts or any recommendations you have of retro games that you loved. Carl from the future here. I just wanted to let you know that Thankmas 2023 is upon us, and if you would like to help raise money for the World Central Kitchen, then the link for donations is down below in the description. So be sure to check that out. And also the campaign link is there too. So if you want to find out more about the organization and so on, you can. So let's help World Central Kitchen feed those in need of food in times of crisis. And there's a lot of crisis, a lot of it. So yeah, be sure to check that out. That's all. Bye.